Most people that have lived here a long time realize that Avon's still growing. And so now how do we continue to grow in a fashion that is not too painful, but also it's going to come with some growing pains.
Welcome to episode 62 of the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimin. Before we get started, I want to add a quick thank you to our champion sponsors, Community Foundation of Lorain County, Lorain County Community College, Lorain County JVS, WOBL Radio, Lorain County Commissioners, and Emerge Inc. Today, we're talking with Bryan Jensen, Mayor of Avon. Join us as Mayor Jensen shares how Avon evolved from a rural town into one of Lorain County's fastest growing communities, driven in part by its location along I-90. He discusses key topics like economic development, infrastructure investment, and regional collaboration, while also reflecting on his path to public service and the principles that guide his leadership. I grew up in Lorain, and after college purchased my first home in Sheffield Township. In 2018, with 2 growing kids, my wife and I decided it was time to move. We wanted to stay local, and after exploring a lot of different options, we decided that Avon was the right location for us. The first time I met Mayor Jensen as an Avon resident was when he spoke to the graduates of Avon Safety Town. I've also attended almost all of his State of the City addresses. Each time I've heard him speak or had the chance to talk with him, it's clear he cares deeply about the community and takes real pride in Avon's progress. Here is my conversation with Mayor Bryan Jensen.
Bryan Jensen, I'm Mayor City of Avon.
Welcome, Mayor Jensen. Thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. How would you describe the character of Avon, and what do you think makes it unique among Northeast Ohio cities?
I think a lot of things make it unique. Part of it is the fact that it went from a small rural farming community, greenhouse community to what it is today. I think the thing that makes it unique is we have I-90 that runs through the kind of the middle of town. And so that gives us opportunities that a lot of other cities don't have. So we have the opportunity to still be rural in some ways, but also be a booming community in other ways. And I think that's what's drawn people out this way from Cleveland.
What would you say are some of the key priorities or initiatives that you and your administration are focused on right now?
We've been very blessed in terms of how our growth has been in the positive aspects of having the hospital here, Bendix here, all different kinds of manufacturing business here. So we've tried to take some of those benefits and purchase more land to keep out of development, more parkland, I think, in the last probably 10 years. And it's a way to give back to the community. So everybody realizes there's going to be traffic, but what's the trade-off for that is we've got a great community pool. We've added a lot more parks. I think we've been blessed that way.
Avon has many new, exciting investments in the city. Dick's Sporting Goods and a number of restaurants have recently opened. Top Golf is nearing completion, and the Cleveland Clinic recently announced a planned expansion at the Avon Hospital. What does it mean for Avon to attract these kind of developments? How do these initiatives contribute to the community and the local economy?
I think it's twofold. One, to the local economy, it certainly helps the county itself. So it's not just all about Avon. The other thing in terms of the way it's been developed, and that was even before my administration here, is the fact that most of the development is on the north side of I-90. So we still have the kind of the area where we have housing on the south side, but on the north side, it's all developing that way. A lot of communities, it's developed throughout, and so majority of traffic is going to be on the north side of I-90.
With all of this commercial growth and opportunity, how do you balance attracting new businesses with supporting local small businesses and maintaining the city's charm and quality of life? What is your economic development vision moving forward?
That's probably one of our biggest challenges in terms of when you look at the city of Avon, how it's developed, whether it's the housing market or it's even the commercial end of it. The prices have gone so high that it makes it very difficult for a small business owner to be able to purchase land, to be able to build a business in terms of what the cost that it takes to get started. I come from a small family business, and so I understand how times you don't make the profit some of the bigger places make, and you have to find new ways to market yourself. Positive end of it, though, there's a lot of traffic. So there's a lot of people that come by your business when you have a business. And so that's the positive. And even on the chains, it's like they need cars to drive business. And so we have those kind of things. But the economic standpoint, we don't do a whole lot because a lot of the business are looking, they do their homework. They realize that this is the place they want to be. They circle it on the map. So we're not out there knocking on any doors. People have to see the value in moving to Avon. And I think they've seen that. And then it's got to work for them. And all the new graphs and everything else that people do, it's like they realize, where the people are and where their business needs to be. And Topgolf, that's a prime example. It's along I-90. People can see it. A lot of traffic that goes by I-90. And so that's what draws them. Dick's Sporting Goods the same way. They do their own demographics, look at things. And so we just have to make sure that it's ready when they are. And I think that's the other positive things we've done. As Mayor Smith told me before, it's like we set the table for people, and when they go, the table's already set, so it makes it very easy for them to get started.
You mentioned housing. How is Avon approaching housing development? How do you balance growth with preserving green space, managing traffic, and protecting Avon's overall quality of life?
That's one thing that people don't realize, that we're not building at the same pace as other communities. You look at North Ridgeville and you look at Avon Lake, they've built more houses than the city of Avon. I think we had 45 houses, new houses that were built this last year. I think we're on pace right now for maybe 50 and maybe less than that. Where you look, I think Avon Lake built closer to 200 new homes. And then North Ridgeville built closer to 300 new homes. The positive in all that is, like I said, I don't think we're growing as fast as people think we are in terms of housing market. The negative is, and sometimes positive, is the fact that people from North Ridgeville and Avon Lake, guess where they shop? They shop in Avon. So that's a positive for us. We do get the revenue from people shopping here on the real estate or property tax, but then also the income tax from people that work here.
Traffic and infrastructure are always concerns in Avon. One example is the long planned improvement now underway at the Detroit and State Route 83 intersection. Talk a little bit about that and how the city is addressing infrastructure needs as the community grows.
That's still the one thing that we're going to go through a little bit of growing pains the end of this year, but mostly next year. And they've started already doing that, where they're choking down a little bit of traffic. But I think anybody that drives 83 and Detroit Road knows that if you want to try to get on 90 from the west side, the line is a long line back there. And so what we're trying to do is open that up, put 2 lanes there, put right turn lanes in every direction over there. And I think once it's completed, everybody will definitely see an improvement there. The pains of getting there are always the things that are tough for everybody to see. But I don't think anybody doesn't realize that there needed to be something fixed and changed there. And people also don't realize it's probably been 7 years in the making of this. We were able to get funding from government sources. We worked great with Gail Manning and also Nathan Manning in terms of state senate and the senator. They were able to help get us funding. So we try to, and anything we do is partner in a way that we use funds from Avon, but also we try to find funds from outside of Avon to help support different things that we're improving.
Each year, I attend the Four Mayors Luncheon that you hold with your fellow mayors from Avon Lake, Sheffield, and Sheffield Lake. Each of you emphasizes cooperation. What is your approach to working with other mayors, county officials, and regional partners?
All of us, whether they were the mayors or even the county commissioners, realize that the success of one community is also the success of all of us. And I know people have talked a lot about Ford's expansion and their improvement in terms of the Sheffield Lake, Avon Lake. Well, we realize that we'll get the benefits of that, and sometimes that's outside of whether it's people that shop here or draws more businesses here as that builds. But I don't think there's anybody that I've talked to in any government agency that doesn't realize that it's one success is a positive. And we talk about even Elyria and Lorraine that I think are coming back out of some tough times as they build and do more things. That's also going to benefit Avon. And I think sometimes the challenge is realizing that we're not everything to everybody. And just like Elyria and Lorraine are the same thing, it's like certain businesses want to come to Avon, and that's okay. And certain businesses should be in Elyria and Lorraine in terms of help them foster improvement. I think it's working. It's just a fact that we just can't be jealous of one another. And I know that we've never tried to steal business or bring a business in Avon that didn't want to be in Avon and thought it was advantageous for them to be here. And we also realize too, is there's places that, like I said, were too expensive for some businesses or some manufacturing, and they can thrive in other parts of the community. And we're all close to 90. Let's just keep working together and support one another.
Every community faces challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges Avon is dealing with right now? How are you and your team working to address these challenges?
To continue growth in surrounding communities around us in terms of where that traffic flow goes. I think we're in a pretty good position in terms of, because of revenue, that we're improving more streets than we've ever improved before. I think anybody that's lived in the community a long time know that there was a lot of rural streets. And as we repave streets, we're widening them a little bit, not so much putting an extra lane in there, but just making the lane wider in each direction. And that's starting to help, but also causes a problem that speeders are now in the city of Avon because the roads are in great shape. And so people go a little faster. I also think that people need to realize too, my administration is always looking at ways to improve and where we need to widen roads and where we need to go to. Chester Road, even as an example, we've widened it from 83 all the way to Jaycox. The next phase is to widen it on the other side of that. Detroit Road, we're still looking at putting a center turn lane in all the way from Sheffield to Westlake. And so that's in the process of being looked at. But everything takes time. And we've been so blessed with the businesses that those things will come over time. It's just people don't have the patience that we'd like them to see. And I think our world's changed in a lot of ways, that just the road rage and some of the other things in terms of being in a hurry, that we've got to step back. And I hope somehow that maybe our parks we'll make that happen a little bit because families can spend times where people can walk and just try to decompress and just enjoy life because it's too short.
What made you first decide to run for mayor?
I started with my dad. My dad was a Danish immigrant, came over when he was 26 years old, but always felt like he owed America and he owned the areas that he lived to give back. And so he first looked at becoming an American citizen. Once he did that, like I said, I was born in Avon. I moved to Avon Lake, graduated from Avon Lake, and then came back with my family to Avon and then the family business that my dad started with my brother. And then I became part of that. But my dad became a councilman. And so I always believed that you had to vote every time there was a vote. So he was out every election voting, and he instilled that in us. And then one day he didn't want to be a councilman or was going to retire from that and wanted me to take over. And I had no inclination of wanting to do that. Just I saw some of the struggles he had with residents. So no one's happy. Someone's happy, but then someone else is unhappy and didn't want to become a part of that. Over time, after he stopped, I felt like I needed to try to make a difference in the community. So I ran as a council person. And through that period of time, enjoyed 8 years as a council person. And then the opportunity to become mayor was there. And I worked to get out there and get the word out. And since I tried to get elected, but wasn't elected and been blessed ever since to be a part of making a difference, I think, in the community.
You were elected in 2014, right?
Yes.
What are you most proud of accomplishing since then?
The thing I'm most proud of is some of the things we've preserved. We preserved the Cahoon House. We preserved the Jameson House. We've also purchased a bunch of parkland that we're utilizing now in terms of an addition to Eagle Point over there that it's attached to Veterans Park. We've also just purchased a piece of property at the end of Stony Ridge. It was a McCulloch property that we have, I think, another 33 acres over there. We've purchased a couple pieces of property over on the east side that were behind the nursing home over there, Avon Place. So, and we continue to look at ways to try to continue to preserve. Also worked with the Metro Parks. 9 holes of Bobolink Golf Course is now preserved. There's a lustry property that's off of French Creek that we have preserved together, working to make sure that when there's opportunities and people are willing to sell their property at a fair value, which is sometimes tough because the values of properties skyrocketed, so we're not able to do that. The other thing is working with the schools. We've been able to work together to put pickleball and improve the tennis courts over in front of the high school. And then we've also been able to work together, putting another football field, turf field over at the middle school. And then the relationship, and I know Ben Hodges leaving, and our relationship was so good that we've worked deals now where there was the other entrance out of the high school on the one, and we're looking at putting another entrance off of Stony Ridge that lines up with Kinzel. The small houses right there will be, second one will be taken down, I think, by the end of the year or beginning of next year. And so we're going to put another driveway out of there. But just the idea of how well we work with the schools and realizing that most people look to come to Avon because of the education and they stay because of the amenities. So we try to benefit one another and still realizing when taxpayers pay their bill, whether it's to the schools or to the city, it's still coming out of their same pocket and trying to be conservative in terms of being good stewards of people's money.
I'm assuming that as the city has grown, the safety forces have received increased call volumes. How do you ensure that services like police, fire, and EMS keep pace with the growth?
As time went on, and like I said, there's funding that's available for that. We just passed the levy a couple months back. We changed some of the property tax over to an income tax. So as the city grows in terms of with employment, there'll be more funds available for our safety forces. And we were very fortunate that the residents saw that. I know there's taxpayer fatigue right now and everything because everything keeps going up and people keep asking for money, but able to maybe help our seniors out a little bit with their property tax, but also realizing that people work and afford a little bit more. And it's just a small amount, but it's still money that has to be paid for. But most of it is people that work in the city of Avon, not necessarily everybody that lives in the city of Avon. That's going to be a tremendous help because as we grow further in that, it's the commercial part of it will grow, and that'll help us have more funding for manpower, equipment. And if you look at surrounding communities, that's really where they're struggling right now to get equipment they need and get the manpower. And we've been fortunate right now to keep pace. I'm looking at building another fire station right now over on the east side to get closer to some of those areas that we have a lot of calls.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. What are your goals and what would you still like to accomplish?
I think there's a lot. We've in the process of purchasing the administrative building over there from the schools. And so we're going to preserve that school itself, but also use their administrative offices to move City Hall over there. So I know there's been rumors of Chick-fil-A at some point. City Hall, where we're at today, may be a prime spot for that, but continue to try to preserve where we can. But also, I think most people that have lived here a long time realize that Avon's still growing. And so now how do we continue to grow in a fashion that is not too painful, but also it's going to come with some growing pains because anytime you put in new infrastructure, there's also detours and ways you have to do that. We're also looking at 2 roundabouts, one at Riegelsberger and 83 and another one at Nagel and Mills Road. And so we know that both of those are problem spots in terms of intersections. And then we still need to improve Detroit and Nagel, and then we also need to improve Detroit and Jaycox. So again, looking far out in the future is just slowly one step at a time, but trying to improve wherever we can.
How would you describe your leadership style? What guiding principles shape how you lead? And who or what has influenced your leadership style the most?
I think my leadership skills has evolved coming from a private sector. So public sector was, I think, a difficult change for me because it was like when I was in business for myself, you just make changes on the run and those are easy changes. Now you have a council that you have to answer to in terms of they take care of the money and they're legislative. That was a little bit of change for me, but I think we've got a great council that I work well with, and I think they have the same vision. I think the thing that molds me as a person is first and foremost my faith. I don't think that I just did all this myself, that I think that I was put in this position for a reason, and certainly believe that God led me to this position. And like I said, sometimes I always say it's in spite of me, not because of me. And I really truly believe that if you surround yourself with really good people, and I've been blessed to do that, you can start to let go of the reins a little bit. I'm still active in everything that goes on, but I've got really some great staff of people that surround me. And I know sometimes that in the public sector, some people think that maybe those workers don't work as hard, but I can tell you, I've been out with them. Our workforce really works hard. I think they're appreciative of the jobs they have. Like anywhere else, I'm sure there's some people that maybe aren't as appreciative, but we really have a great staff of people that work hard, understand that we work for the community. I think sometimes there was changes we've made or adjusted there that if someone didn't realize that we work for the community, we've had to show them that it's the community that pays our salaries, but also it's like it makes you feel good when you do something to help somebody or you can show something that happens. And a lot of our parks, we're putting in new bathrooms. We don't have porta potties in some of them anymore, but it's just like little changes that people can see. And even our workforce can see that makes them feel, good about what they do. But I can tell you, they do work hard, and we've got great supervisors that help along the way.
Outside of City Hall, what are some of your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
I played pickleball, did tear my Achilles, so that kind of slowed me up a little bit. But I enjoy getting out, exercising. I like being part of the parks. I think that it's one of those things that if you love what you do, it's really not a job. And so I enjoy being out there. We put on a movie night with our recreation department. And so I get out to see families and kids. My thing has always been if I can help our seniors and then I can help our children, I think everything else falls in place. So trying to be actively involved in those kind of things. My ultimate goal is to try to improve our children and improve our seniors. But I always watch one at our pool that we're able to see kids and interact and play with one another. And I think sometimes we as parents get in the way of that. We try to adjust our children to which way they go. But if we let them play together, I think they'll all be fine. And I think if we can do a better job playing together as adults, we would be much better off. But there's so many things that are going on in people's lives. I think we forget some of the struggles that people go through. It's not necessarily taking it out in the city sometimes because we get beat up. I tell everybody all the time, if you need any information, go to Avon in the Know. But if you want all the information, call City Hall, because I think that's the best way to get the information. With AI, a little bit nervous because it's changing what we believe. We're seeing things that we think are true that are not true. And the best way to compensate that is call City Hall. Call my office. We'll answer any question truthfully and honestly because we have to be transparent. So there's no way around that. So there's no one trying to get away with anything at City Hall. Your council person you could call, but we want to get everything out there because it saves a lot of trouble. Avon in the Know to change it around for us.
Finally, where can people go to get more information about the city of Avon and connect with you?
Well, our website is a great resource to get things. I always say that if you want to talk to somebody, call City Hall. But social media is changing now. It used to be that sometimes you could get that all on social media, but we still have so many people that get information from all different avenues. So it's like there's not really a great spot, but I still say our best spot is go to our website and go online there. We also do try to put things out on social media. But again, if you want the answers, call any of our departments. We'll get back with you. If we don't, call my office. I'll certainly get back with you. But we want the information out there.
Thank you, Bryan Jensen, for joining us and sharing your insights.
No, it's great being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to come see me.
Thank you for listening to the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LoraineCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@loraincounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.